So this isn't really about my hair or how dark it is. Really, it's just to get this message about the First Amendment out. And I would like to thank QCUprompter.com, the online teleprompter, and firstamendment.org, um, who wrote this message, which I'm going to read now. Congress should make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or the press, or the right of the people to peacefully assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. It's the First Amendment to the Constitution, and the First Amendment was written because, at America's inception, citizens demanded a guarantee of their basic freedoms. Our blueprint for personal freedoms and the hallmark of an open society, the First Amendment protects freedom of speech, press, religion, assembly, and petition. Without the First Amendment, religious minorities could be persecuted. The government might well establish a national religion. Protesters could be silenced. My note, and are silenced. The press could not criticize government, and citizens could not mobilize for social change. When the U.S. Constitution was signed on September 17, 1787, it did not contain the essential freedoms now outlined in the Bill of Rights, because many of the framers viewed their inclusion as unnecessary. However, after vigorous debate, the Bill of Rights was adopted. The first freedoms guaranteed in this historic document were articulated in the 45 words written by James Madison that we have come to know as the First Amendment. The Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, went into effect on December 15, 1791, when the state of Virginia ratified it, giving the bill the majority of ratifying states required to protect citizens from the power of the federal government. The First Amendment ensures that if there is any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it is that no official, high or petty, can prescribe what shall be orthodox in politics, nationalism, religion, or force citizens to confess by word or act their faith therein, as Justice Robert Jackson wrote in the 1943 case, West Virginia versus Barnett. And as Justice William Brennan wrote in New York Times versus Sullivan in 1964, the First Amendment provides the debate on public issues should be uninhibited, robust, and wide open. However, Americans vigorously dispute the application of the First Amendment. Most people believe in the right to free speech, but debate whether it should cover flag burning, hardcore rap and heavy metal lyrics, tobacco advertising, hate speech, pornography, nude dancing, solicitation, and various forms of symbolic free speech. Many would agree to limiting some forms of free expression, as seen as the First Amendment center state of the First Amendment survey reports. Most people at some level recognize the necessity of religious liberty and toleration, but some balk when a religious tenet of a minority religion conflicts with a generally applicable law, or with their own religious faith. Many Americans see the need to separate the state from the church to some extent, but decry the banning of school-sponsored prayer from public schools and the removal of the Ten Commandments from public buildings. Further, courts wrestle daily with the First Amendment controversies and the constitutional clashes, as evidenced by the free speech versus fair trial debate and the dilemma of the First Amendment liberty principles versus the equality values of the 14th Amendment. Such difficulties are the price of freedom of speech and religion in an intolerant, open society. So I thank you for listening. Gives you some background on the First Amendment. And you got to understand where our founding forefathers were coming, and they always say forefathers and foremothers were coming from, because probably there were a few good women behind these men telling them what to do, and they came from a society where certain guarantees or not guaranteed in a national religion. And so we've seen in countries that are closed society, and we see what happens with closed societies. So speech, even when disliked, for the most part, is protected. Two exclusions are fighting words and the common quoted shouting fire in a crowded theater. Now, the ACLU says these are difficult cases, and I don't think they're that difficult. More of these cases should be taken to court and deliberated. And so I guess that's my lecture for the day. I thank FirstAmendment.org. You can go there. It looks like a good site so far. And I'll be continuing this hopefully when my color is better. When it's brighter. I have a lot of light on here, but for some reason this telecam or webcam just wants to do what it wants to do. And so I apologize for the color, but this message is really about First Amendment. Thanks.